So yeah, this is an interesting game. We looked at the different matches, didn't we, coming up, Mike? And we did pick this one out as one we wanted to watch for a number of reasons. I think the lads touched on it. xLevVinken has been very, very solid this season so far, but missing out on that place in the E-Nations, that's going to frustrate the Dutchman. And he wants to obviously get as many points as he can. There's so many points up for grabs at that E-Nations event.
And you can tell a similar story to Chris, just missing out on also getting a spot for E-Nations with USA and a crazy thriller that ended 5-all, EMLS versus Duelsta, penalty kicks. One of those bouts where he says, man, I just can't get past this hump again.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're talking about that guy that's just nearly. He's right there on the brink. And most importantly, both these guys are currently in form. They've been playing well today, so we're going to get some quality FIFA, as you know that I want to say, some premium quality FIFA.
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, we're calling Chris the nearly man. The only other person really that has that sort of nickname at the moment is probably Dax. And the thing is, it's a compliment in a way, because even though it sounds like a sort of name you want to shake off, it means that you're getting deep into tournaments, and you're just not quite getting it. I mean, we're not calling Lev the nearly man, are we? And that's because he's probably not been consistently as much as Chris has at the latter stage of tournaments, not just this year, but over the last few years.
That's true. Chris and Dax are almost sure things to get out of the Swiss stage. They always seem to get the job done. And you could even say that Dax is like the nearly man, where he goes one more round than Chris. Chris usually will lose in the quarters. Dax often loses in the semifinals, even though we did see him eliminated earlier on today.
All right, it's a battle of the big boys here. Lev versus Chris. Two legs, of course, to separate these guys. Lev from the Netherlands and Chris from NYC. But I believe he's Haitian. Is that correct?
He is of Haitian descent.
Haitian descent. Okay, so we have got Chris in the dark blue kit and Lev in the white and red here. And that switch makes it over to Marcelo for Chris. And Mbappe playing on the left side. We're seeing him used a lot on the left, with the exception of a few guys, including Tass, who's been using him at right wing back on the Xbox. This is obviously PlayStation as Ruud Gullit makes his way into Lev's half. Neymar, little 1-2 there.
And having played against Chris multiple times, he's going to be looking to whip in a lot of crosses in a variety of different ways.
Here's one of them now, looking towards the back post. R9 Ronaldo leaps. It looked like it was going to go to the man behind him, which was Cristiano Ronaldo. But R9 got there first, unfortunately for Chris, straight at the keeper.
That could not have been more on cue.
Yeah, you keyed it up perfectly. And as did Chris, to be fair, in that segment we saw. He said, expect crosses, expect first-time volleys. So he's given away his secrets, if you like. Doesn't mean it's easy to stop. Could have another one coming here with Mbappe. He's going to go back onto his right foot. Plays it along the ground. First-time hit. R9 Ronaldo doing what he does, putting Chris in the lead.
Well done to Chris. And you almost wonder, too, with EMLS, if Chris had access to all the icons and the Team of the Year players in that squad builder, that starting 11, would it be maybe a little bit different? Because all year he plays with so many icons. And you could almost say you rely on them to a certain degree, because you're used to scoring goals from angles that only they can do. You can't just fill in players for prime Eusebios or prime Pelés. It's a special card. Or the same with the Team of the Year Mbappe or Team of the Year Cristiano Ronaldo.
It's a different way to play. We noticed that at the EPL last week, I'd say. Some guys who maybe haven't been at as many events as some other guys could maybe prepare for that tournament a little bit better, filling their squads out with EPL or Premier League players, whereas other players like the likes of Tex, who had a slow start by his standards, despite the fact that he won the whole thing, not used to using some of these guys instead. In fact, when I interviewed him yesterday, he said the likes of Aubameyang and Hazard were rubbish, and he was glad to be getting the likes of Ronaldo back in his team. So maybe that's been something that's affected Chris in other tournaments.
Some of the more intricate passes or even shot selections or the pass and move opportunities are more difficult if you don't have the best players in the game that you're accustomed to using.
Of course. And you can get used to them real quick if you're playing in a lot of events. Like Chris has been doing, you don't get top 10 by accident. You know, he's up there, and that's what you need to be doing. Obviously, there's big prize money available if you can win tournaments in the lead up to the grand final. But really, if you're planning for a strong finish and you want to get that grand final win, you just need to be in the tournament, and Chris is looking good to do that. But Lev now is coming up the other end with a shot, didn't really test De Gea, who caught it comfortably, and now Chris back in possession here. Vieira to Neymar, turns back, finds Ruud Gullit in the middle. Lots of first-time passes and first-time shooting from Chris. He uses it well, fast-paced football. Ruud hit it on the left foot. It looked better than it was, that shot. Ended up going straight into the keeper's gloves.
I think Lev might have just slightly shifted the goalkeeper as well to make that a little more of a simpler save. Worst case, he would have been out for maybe a corner or a deflection or something, but it was never hitting the back of the net.
xLevVinken with a chance now to trouble Chris. Is he going to be as eager to cross? He does with Ronaldo, but he will not be happy with that delivery, which is way too much outside the box. Didn't get into the danger area, but he's got it back here with Patrick Vieira, who finds Ronaldo. Another chance for him to cross. Instead, he opts for a low pass to his namesake, the other Ronaldo. Comes back to R9, over to Cristiano, lays it off for Vieira, turns, hits it. Patrick Vieira popping up with a goal there. Not always on the score sheet, but he can bang them.
And he caught Chris on the back burner a little bit. He did not expect to see the roulette there with Vieira. He had a power shot on the near post, didn't move the goalkeeper. Lovely finish, and LeVinken used that information to his advantage. He figured that Chris was looking for the additional pass, and he took advantage by using Vieira in a very dangerous, kind of an uncommon area on the pitch that you see Vieira stepping inside the box.
I'll be honest, I would have hit it first time with Vieira because I'm a sucker for a long shot from distance. It would have probably been saved and gone for a corner. When he didn't do that, I thought, okay, he's going to do the classic build-up, pass it around for a little bit. Instead, he just tried to get an extra 5 yards into the box with that skill move. Clever decision, because with Patrick Vieira, the shot power he has, the nearer you get to the goal, obviously the harder it's going to be to stop. That's exactly what happened there. And Lev's back in this at 1-1 now, trying to make it 2-1. Ruud Gullit running down the left side. Can he deliver? He's going to try it. No, he even fooled me there. I thought he was going to go over left-footed cross. Oh, what a save from De Gea. Plucked out the sky there, stopping LeVinken taking the lead against Chris.
Almost a little bit of a double bait there where you set up the flick and then went into a secondary flick in order to get the ball into the box. Much better than his first attempt that we just talked about previously where he whipped it in way too much power to the back post.
Yeah, he obviously wanted to get it on Ruud Gullit's right foot. I thought he was going to just risk it and go for a left-footed cross. Maybe Chris did as well, which bought Lev the time he needed to get it on Ruud Gullit's stronger foot, which a great cross was what was created from it, but unfortunately De Gea had other ideas. It's a fantastic save. LeVinken growing into this game now. Ever since the goal, he's getting more possession. He's attacking Chris. Through ball opportunity here for Mbappe to run onto. Again, turns onto that stronger foot. Can he shoot? Great luck, Raqueta. A second one. Then goes for the low-driven pass cut out by that man, Virgil.
And we're seeing relatively balanced play with both guys here, where they're down to go down the middle. They're looking down the wings. They're whipping in crosses. We're seeing skill moves, first-time passing, as you mentioned before. And as the game's feeling like it's starting to open up a little bit.
It's important to point out this is a 2-0 game. So both these guys have won both their opening games here on the PlayStation side, meaning the winner of this game is booking themselves a spot in the last 16. That is huge. It will still be a decent scenario for the lad who loses this game, but you obviously want to book it as early as possible. Cross comes in, Ruud Gullit rises like a salmon, but he headed it like a bee.
Indeed, he did.
I've reworked the classic Ali saying there. Okay, so LeVinken back on the ball with Patrick Vieira. Oh, he took way too long on the ball there, and it's a crunching tackle from Ruud Gullit. Comes to Mbappe, over to Neymar now for Chris, getting forward for NYCFC. Mbappe into Ruud Gullit, looking for a 1-2. Good defending from Sergio Ramos, who has picked up a yellow card in this first half. Not a player you want to be booked. We know he's got an aggressive streak.
Yeah, well done to LeVinken to not put Ramos out of position there, because Chris was trying to as we see a back post cross.
It's once again a poor cross from Ronaldo from that right side.
Chris was utilizing a couple skill moves in close succession there in order to try to make LeVinken make a mistake or get that center back to shift left, to shift right, to open up space.
It nearly worked, but Sergio Ramos was not having any of it. And what a player that is to have at your disposal in defence. Play him at centre back, play him at right back. Versatile. I think he played a right back in the World Cup final for Spain back in 2010, I do believe.
Arguably the best attacking fullback in terms of set pieces as well, or attacking center backs, excuse me, wherever you got him on the pitch.
Two Ronaldos linking up, the two Ronnies, you could say. Neymar now goes to Ruud Gullit. Good pass, first time hit. What a save from David De Gea, who's coming up trumps at both ends of the pitch. Corner though, could be attacked. Oh, and it's cleared off the line by Ruud Gullit. LeVinken saving himself twice there in the space of 1 minute from conceding.
And Chris might feel a little bit unlucky. He made some big chances. It's 1-1. You could say it's been a fair assessment from the first half, both players having opportunities. But if I'm in Chris's shoes, I'm thinking, man, corner kick. Then we had a second chance at the corner kick. We had a couple crosses, had a couple shots that went right at the goalkeeper, or LeVinken slightly shifted the goalkeeper over. And you might want to have those back. And you could be thinking about them going into the second half, especially considering that we've talked about Chris having some mental issues, and even he mentioned it before where he's saying, I got to get past some of these points. I get angry at the game. I get frustrated. Maybe I start to play a little bit different. And sometimes we don't notice that we're falling down this slippery slope of making more errors or speeding up our gameplay or not dictating the pace both offensively and defensively. And that's when you start to get outplayed. That's when you start giving up more opportunities to your opposition. And conceding goals.
Yeah, I found it interesting, that interview we saw with Chris before the game, when he said, look, the fact is I just don't care. I don't care. And he said it twice, almost like he was trying to convince himself. And I feel like he's trying to say, I'm going to take on this kind of, oh, hello, chance. Oh, wow. Straight away, Chris, who says he doesn't care, he's put his hands in the air like he just don't care. 2 goals, 2-1 up against xLevVinken. I think he does care is what I'm trying to say. I think that he is kind of trying to almost hypnotize himself into a state of calm where he doesn't react, doesn't get frustrated, like you say, with some of the things that's happened to him in the past in his competitive career thus far. He's almost trying to make it a mantra of his. But let's face it, these guys, the amount of commitment they put in to get here, the commitment to the game, the time commitment, the responsibilities, the things they miss out on in their day-to-day life, they clearly care a great deal. And Chris, you know, is probably someone that does deserve a little bit of a break. He said, what can you expect from me? Some first-time volleys, some crosses, and some good luck. I don't know how you expect some good luck. You can hope for it. And it seems to be that he's making his own luck right now. 60% possession in the first half, more chances, and now he's got more goals.
And Chris is a lovely ambassador for the sport. He's soft-spoken. He works hard. He's been, I would say, probably the most successful American FIFA player since 2017 in terms of getting to events, representing well at events, being consistent. He's always in the mix. We've talked about Chris since 2017 over and over again. But
we have seen the arrival of Joksan this year. Joksan, a really interesting kind of character in the scene in terms of what he's done so far. Great start, almost rivaling Tex at the start, first few months of competitive FIFA. And then, hang on, chance here for Chris, deflected shot. Then Joksan almost decided to take himself out the running for a little bit. He had so many points, studying as well at a college in the States. He thought, you know what, I know I'm going to be in the grand final already. Maybe I'll give myself a little bit of a break. Maybe he's not too fussed about the prize money that he probably could have secured in that time. And now he's probably feeling quite fresh and quite rested. Do you think that was a good tactic?
We'll see as time plays out, because if he wins more events or he succeeds and he's doing very well, then you're saying, oh, that was good for you to take this break to balance your life. Because a lot of times you get caught up where you're all in to the point that you have a risk of burnout. And burnout is not something you want to run into as a content creator, as a professional FIFA player, just anything in life. You're not going to get the best you if you're starting to feel like you don't have the energy anymore.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that you look at people like Tex, who've been so consistent for so long. xLevVinken really struggling to get the ball out of defence here. He's really overplaying it. He's finally got the ball under control now. But yeah, when these guys are dominating in so many events in such a short period of time, you do wonder how long can they sustain it for mentally. That's going to be the biggest challenge for Tex, really, I think, the rest of this year. It's almost like his biggest opponent is himself. If he can stay on top of things, then he could close it out and do what a lot of people are expecting him to. Meanwhile, xLevVinken trying to get back in this game, winning a free kick on the edge of Chris's box. 2-1 to Chris in his first leg. He's going to lay it off here, pass it around the box. Is he going to shoot? One more pass into Vieira, who scored a goal for him in the first half, holding up that ball fantastically with good strength, whips it in. Great defensive header from Virgil van Dijk, and Chris is back in control. Ronaldo going to switch it now over to Sergio Ramos, former Real Madrid teammate, of course, Mbappe, perhaps future Real Madrid teammate of Sergio Ramos, if the rumours are to be believed. Neymar into R9, Ronaldo trying to get a shot off. Marcelo comes in, but it's a free kick now for Chris. xLevVinken not happy about that.
Having a bit of a trade-off here on free kicks. Similar areas on the pitch. See if we get a similar effect.
Run over it there with Neymar. Looking for the first time pass. xLevVinken read it, but it's come to Mbappe. Great luck, Roqueta past his man! And he's put it into the top left corner, and that is a fantastic goal with maybe a hint of luck with the ball to fall to Mbappe.
I was going to say, lovely finish here. I mean, he timed that La Croqueta properly, and even better is the finish. Or even better is how he slots it away, hitting the top corner.
Did that go through the legs of Varane as well? I think it might have, you know. Unbelievable. You can't save those when you get it into that top corner.
And it's difficult to regather yourself. When you have a skill move that doesn't come out perfect in terms of the execution, you then have to think about how you want to try to put this finish away, because you might have already filled up the power bar, might have already aimed everything, and that's going to put you off if you don't have that clean execution on the skill move.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's played any kind of high-level FIFA, be it online in the weekend league, when you're up against a decent opponent, knows just how hard that is to get that combination of buttons pressed in such a small window of time, particularly when you're throwing some skill moves in the mix.
And any collision can put you off in terms of being able to convert in opportunities like that one.
Sergio Ramos on the ball with that yellow card here for LevVinken, who finds himself 3-1 down in the first leg. Plenty of time to get back into it. As Chris cues a pause here. It's going to get to once the ball goes out of play. But Lev trying to get one back before that pause comes in. Mbappe maybe doing a luck request, not in the best time there. It was almost unnecessary. Neymar now for Chris. Not in any rush to do anything. Chris, I'm sure, happily take this 3-1 victory into the second leg. Can he add to it, though, as Neymar gets forward, goes back to Vieira, into Neymar, to Ruud Gullit now. Ronaldo turns back, Ruud Gullit's continued his run, and he finds Mbappe in the box, who makes it past his man. Maybe took a little bit of a nick there. I thought he could have gone down for a penalty. They played on. And now it's LevVinken. Ronaldo. Oh, evades that challenge beautifully. Marcelo coming forward in the centre of the pitch here. Mbappe over to Gullit. It seems like Gullit and Marcelo have swapped positions right now. Mbappe, good pass, onside. Keeper, where are you going, son? What's he doing, Mikey?
That's what happens when you move the goalkeeper just a tad bit too early. We could see it from our end, which means LevVinken had all the time in the world to make the right decision. He was playing for a pass across. Obviously, LevVinken chose not to pass across. He went straight on for goal. There's a lot of space to work with. Easy finish. And Chris, he's got to think this is not the pause that I was hoping for.
No, exactly. He was hoping to pause this at 3-1 and make some conservative substitutions. Probably he still will. I think he'll just look at the energy levels of his players and refresh some of them. But good reactions from Lev there to see that keeper come off his line. Probably changed his decision. He would have looked for that cross, I think, either to the back post or the driven pass across the box. But good reaction. Look at this. Keeper comes out, left that opening at the near post. Criminal. When you're a goalkeeper, the worst thing is conceding at your near post. It's like unforgivable, really. If someone bends it across you into the back post, there's not a lot you can do. It's a great finish, much like the Mbappe goal was for Chris. You put it in that top bracket, you say fair play, you clap your hands and you move on. But to concede one at your near post is frustrating. And this game is game on. 3-2 now to Chris.
And you hope that Chris doesn't carry or lose some momentum and carry that into the second matchup, because we've got 7 minutes left in this game here. But sometimes you start to think and overanalyze mistakes that you make, and you let it get to you later on in that bout.
Yeah, and we've seen prime icon moments. Johan Cruyff be substituted on. I believe that player's just become available in an SBC yesterday, along with, I think, 6 other prime icon moments, I should say, likes of Rivaldo in there. I saw some great options. But Johan Cruyff's the one that's really going to jump out at people. You know, 5-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves. What a player, what an option.
And it's Cruyff.
It is the man himself. He invented the Cruyff turn. Marcelo is playing through the middle, it seems. Chance, he's not hit it, but Marcelo said it instead. And the keeper movement again for Chris was all over the place. Did he play one pass too many there, Mike?
Oh, when you look at that, I'm not sure if Chris moved properly. I can tell for sure that Lev mishit that. He didn't time it right, put a little bit too much power. Maybe it caught him unexpectedly because it was a bit of a bounce back. We did have a rebound there. But Lev would like a rewind, excuse me. He'd like a second chance, a second opportunity to have that one back. This could easily be 3-all. If I'm Chris now, just close this out. Maybe get one more attack if you're able to get forward, 92nd, 93rd minute. But if not, no big deal. Go into the second leg with your 1-goal advantage.
Very interesting to see Marcelo in this centre mid position for LevVinken right now. Pele running down the right. Still Pele. Chris almost tried to take him down. Pele needs to use the ball now. 40 seconds left before the whistle. Vieira already scored 1 goal for Lev. Plays it into Marcelo. Ronaldo looks to turn. Oh, it's off the post. And he's been denied an equaliser in the last seconds. He's got a corner though. It's not over. He needs to whip it in now. Interesting touch from Cruyff. And looking for that man in the middle, but the whistle will be blown now. Surely, referee. 1.5 minutes over the allocated time here. He's going to get one more chance. Oh, and he's actually put it in, but it was offside, I think, and the whistle's been blown.
I think that's the whistle.
Did the whistle
full
just
time
go? So it might have actually counted. The whistle just went right before it got to Pele. Chris looking up to the camera as if to say, eh?
I survived. I got out of there.
That escalated quickly, didn't it, Mike? Last 5 or 10 minutes for Lev. A different Lev came out to play.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. The momentum shifted because that was all NYC Chris up to about the 70th minute. Then we saw Lev get the goal back from a poor goalkeeper movement there for Chris. And then from that point forward, the momentum shifted. It's all Lev. You could tell that he smelled blood and he was out for it, and that he felt that he could regain his confidence and go into the second leg and be maybe all even. So it was all to play for.
I mean, despite being 3-2 down, he's probably the happier of the two players after that last few minutes. Chris feeling like he was hanging on. We'll use this midway point between the games to take a look at some of the scores from around the other matchups. I can tell you that Senior Bubble is 3-2 up against Headhunters. We've got Alex Mercer 2-1 down to Timox. We've got Danny Fink 4-0 up against JRA Lion. That's a big one. X-Blue versus Z Snip Ref is 0-0 currently. Alex Lev, we know obviously Ajax Lev, I should say, or LevVinken, 3-2 down to Chris. That was a great first game. Lucas is drawing 3-0 with a stranger. Dami 3-1 up against LOC Gilles. We have Joxan 2-0 up against Dr. Ahano. Good game, because that's a 2-0 game as well. Dr. Ahano we spoke to earlier, feeling confident, albeit a little bit under the weather. Nicholas is beating Marcuso 2-1. What a game that is. Marco of the FUT variety is 2-0 up against Droy. We've got Maestro Squad 3-1 up against Icevogel. We've got Fafilza 3-2 up against Shells. Another great game there. We'll just jump to these replays now from this first game. And that's a good first time hit on the weak foot for R9 there. And Chris warned us about them, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing that Lev could have done in that situation. He got the interior pass, hit it first time. Good luck. And you can almost say the same thing here for Chris. I don't think he defended poorly. You just don't expect a roulette from Vieira, nor do you expect that type of power behind the shot. What
skill moves do you need to do to pull off a roulette like that? Is it 3-star, 2-star?
3-star skill moves, and it's a common skill, but I wouldn't say you're going to see a roulette even every game that you watch, that we commentate or we talk about. But it's still a commonly used skill, and you see it utilized every year. It's one of those classics.
He pulled it out at the perfect time. These were two huge chances for Chris there that didn't fall to him, unfortunately for him. But he did get one back eventually, and we're taking the lead here. Another first-time hit from R9 Ronaldo, giving Chris the lead. And that was a good tackle, not according to the referee, kick given. And look what he does here. Neymar jumps over it. Defender reads it, but it falls perfectly to Ronaldo, who finds Mbappe. Look for the skill, and then bang! What a finish that was from Chris.
Quality finish.
And he was 3-1 up at this point, seemingly in control. He had a pause cued at this point, looking just to see the game out. Lev then does this. Where's your keeper going? I'll take that. Easiest goal you're ever going to score. Another goal for R9 Ronaldo in this fixture, this one being for Lev, of course. And then look at these few chances that fell to Lev in the last few minutes there. Should he have hit it with Cruyff? I think maybe it was on, rather than putting it to Marcelo. I know it's Team of the Year Marcelo, and he's a upgraded shooting option, but I'd like to see what Cruyff could do.
It's easy for us to say, because we have hindsight, we have that 20/20 vision. But when you look at that play, you've got to think that Lev is in a certain rhythm when he's passing there. It's all very intricate. He's got a half second at best to make a decision. He lays it off. He mishits it. Moves on to the second game. He's only down a goal. Everything to play for. It's not a big deal. And then at the same time with Chris, he might be saying to himself, I've got to step it up. I need to get off to another good start, because he can put a lot of pressure on LeVinken if he's able to double his lead.
Yeah, I mean, if any of you didn't see some of the action yesterday, 3-2 is nothing. You can come back from that easy. I mean, we saw someone come back from 4-0. I think we saw it a few times, actually. Some 5-0 turnovers in the second leg, reversing the scoreline. So, yeah, I mean, this game is very much open. Speaking of games, a couple of the scores I didn't update you on. M10 Uston 5-3 up against Sebas Ortiz. We've got Rain Soul, who is 1-0 down to Yimi. Mo Alba 3-1 up against Goovy. Hyper 3-2 up against Tuga. So there's some very interesting scores in the other games.
We've also got Maestro beating Icevogel at the moment.
Yeah, that's another great fixture, isn't it? 3-1 up.
I tell you, this PlayStation side, not to take anything away from the Xbox, but when you're looking at the players in attendance, it's everybody that you want to see.
Yeah.
You've got 8 out of the top 10, and then even outside of the top 10, you got a lot of household names that maybe are fighting for those positions, whether they're 30th or 40th or 50th, or even outside the top 60. They're people that we've seen at tournaments over the last couple of years.
Penny for Stefano Pina's thoughts right now. I know he's not desperate for points. He's had a great season, but how much would he love to be here testing himself against these guys after the season he's had? Anyway, we've got a kit change here, so we've now got Chris, who's got a chance! Coming back from an offside position, but just getting onside in time. A very early goal, much like in the first leg. Chris doubles his lead, takes it to 4-2.
Chris has started every one of these halves perfectly. First half, no problem. Second half, not an issue. And the same continues. This is, I guess, our third half of the battle between these two players. And it's a great way to put, like I said, that pressure on LeVinken. LeVinken has to think to himself, Now I got to drag back 2 goals.
All that good work. It's like the break in the 2 games came at the perfect time for Chris, didn't it? Because he was under the cosh. Instead, that 5-minute break, Lev has kind of come back different, and it's not worked for him. Maybe substitutions were key. Maybe the stamina dropping slightly for certain players was helping Lev. But right now he's got to do it again as he's 2 goals down. He's going to try and cross this in here. Chance, it's gone over everyone. Lev's crossing just not been good enough for him, has it?
Yeah, a couple of the crosses have looked perfect, but then a couple of them just, they look as if he's whipping it in there just to whip it in there. Doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a program, doesn't have the structure. Basically, that back post runner's not in the right place, or the cross is coming in a little too much whippage or a little too much lob to the back post, and there's just nobody able to really put pressure on Chris.
The thing is, it's not just the player's ability to cross or the positioning of where the player is when he crosses, it's the timing. You've got to look at the players in the box. Once again there, Lev just a fraction of a second too early with that cross. He didn't have the personnel in the box ready to attack it.
I couldn't agree more.
The timing is so important.
When you're looking at crossing, it's about having the option there. It's about having the timing and making sure that you line up the power right.
You can almost do it using sort of is another chance, but Chris seems to have that timing down, and that's why he said in that video we saw, expect me to do a lot of crosses.
But you could see it. He turned his body. He got his eyes up there. He sees Ronaldo on the back post. He's in a good position, and he lets that lob go, and everything's right. Now, if he's able to convert, we say you're a genius, but either way, we can say that was a good option. It was a good choice from Chris in order to whip in that cross, and it gives him higher levels of efficiency.
For me, sometimes if I'm running down the wing, I use, for example, Player of the Month Rashford. Got those 5-star skill moves, so we can do the El Tornado, cross, etc. You can almost feel it without even needing to look. You know when he's in that spot, based on his run, based on the run of his teammates, okay, I've hit this at the perfect time. It's going in. You don't even need to see what happens. You know, as long as you've got someone with decent heading ability at the back post, it's a goal because you time it right. And I feel like Lev is just kind of snatching it a little bit now, hoping it's going to work out, but not really feeling it the way that Chris is.
Yeah, they look almost a tad bit rushed. He's thinking, okay, I'm down the wing, it's time to whip in across, versus really getting his eyes up and seeing, well, what options do I have available?
Yeah, and Chris certainly using those options better at the moment as he runs down this right side with his right back, Sergio Ramos. Remember, there was no right back in the Team of the Year this year. There was no right back option. They had 3 centre-backs in Varane, Ramos and Van Dijk. So there is no really, who is the best right back in terms of right back positions?
Natural right backs?
Yeah. Kyle Walker, obviously, popular. He's my favourite personally.
I think I'd go with the 89 overall Cancelo.
Yep. Good chemistry with Cristiano as well, as a Juve player.
Easy links, and I just like what he brings to the table in terms of skill moves, what he's able to do offensively, his pace, his recovery. Never really had positioning issues either. So he's probably my choice as a right back. He's who I've been using the most recently.
One player we saw used a lot in the EPL last week was the Future Stars Alexander-Arnold. You a fan?
I've used that card. I think that he's decent. There's other right backs that I prefer. I'd rather go with Lala, for example.
Yeah, Lala. I was lucky enough to get a reward Lala from Weekend League, who I've used a lot along with Kyle Walker. But yeah, the centre. If you had every player available, you'd still be going with one of these centre backs, and that's mainly because of the ability to nullify the cross threat, isn't it? Because you've got a big lad like Sergio Ramos at right back, great heading ability. He's actually not that big. He's 6 foot, I think, in the game. And there are taller players. You could, for example, if you really wanted height, you could put Van Dijk at the back, but he hasn't got that mobility that Ramos has got to get up and down. And that's a lovely little ball roll from Chris, trying to get a 5th goal here against xLevVinken, but Maldini was there to save his bacon. Another ball comes in, headed away by xLevVinken, but not really clear of the danger. Maldini now plays the pass into Vieira, good little turn. Ronaldo gets it over to Mbappe now, who goes to Ruud Gullit, who does occupy this left side for xLevVinken. He pushes Marcelo into the middle. What do you think about this?
It's not a tactic that I would run, but nobody's doing anything at this point at a tournament that's random. We talked about this earlier with TAS, where he's using Pele, and he also has Mbappe as left backs and right backs, which is out of the ordinary, but it works for TAS in the way that he's generating attacks.
I'm assuming that Lev is doing that for the aerial ability of Ruud Gullit at the back post, and Marcelo obviously with a lot of pace through the middle there on the Team of the Year item that can be a threat going forward, and obviously great defensively as a defending player. But yeah, Ruud Gullit, usually we'd see him running through the middle of the park.
I think it says more to Lev's preference of using Marcelo than it does to, oh, we got Ruud Gullit out on the wing, and that's such an advantage for me.
Cross there towards the back post. David De Gea coming forward, getting an important punch on it. Now, if we can get a goal from Lev in this game, it will really make things interesting. There's a little bit of a battle between Varane and Ronaldo. Varane wins that one. De Gea just scoops it back to Marcelo for Chris of NYC FC. And now Ruud Gullit getting forward. Ball down the left side. Mbappe's chasing it. Up against Ramos. Goes into Ronaldo. Good first touch. Lovely reverse pass to Mbappe. Can he get a shot off here? Still Mbappe! Oh, he put it down the middle, straight at De Gea after he did everything right.
That's just lovely play. Like you said, did everything right, had a little bit of everything. We had the outlet, we had the skill moves, looked up, thought about the cross, went for the shot. Unfortunately, it was right at the goalkeeper. Anywhere else, it's in the back of the net. It was timed. We saw greens on greens on greens.
It might have ended the game, to be honest, getting a 3-goal lead, which Chris could still get here as he tries to work it back into the box from his corner. XLevVinken with a chance to counter before half-time. Great time to score for Lev if he can do it, just like he did towards the end of the first leg. Ramos running down the right, into Ronaldo. Back to Vieira, who scored a very big goal for Lev in that first leg. Fantastic goal, actually, from the big Frenchman. Neymar, over to Ronaldo. Mike, not happy with that. I can see you saw crossing your head, but it's going to work out! Oh, wow, you surprised by that, Mike, because you thought it was the wrong option?
Well, I just thought that Chris made a big defensive error. That's why I was shaking my head.
Okay, fine.
His fullback stepped up. He left a lot of space for XLevVinken. And you got to think when you have space that you're going to have a little more time. You talked about how important that is with whipping in crosses. And sure enough, we get a better cross, a better end product. And he gets a goal in the 45th minute, which carries into the second half. And Chris has to be thinking, I played so perfectly. And then I gave up one chance. That was the only chance that he gave up. He was absolutely perfect in that half.
It was the only shot. And then you can see confirmation that Lev likes Marcelo at centre mid and Ruud Gullit at left back. I think Chris is doing it the opposite, obviously. Chris has got them in their more familiar positions. But it's funny because it's kind of like a little example or metaphor, if you like, for Chris's overall tournament form. He starts well, finishes badly. So both games, both halves, we've seen him come out the blocks, all guns blazing, get some goals, and then tail off as the game develops. And that is very much how his tournaments seem to go, in all honesty. He can start fantastic, maybe come out the Swiss format, close to unbeaten, but never quite puts those big wins together when they matter in terms of trophies.
It's all about focus. When I watch Chris play, I see every intangible that you want to have in a FIFA player. However, for 90 minutes, you almost always get 5 to 10 minutes where Chris doesn't seem as focused in terms of his gameplay, whether that is going with the offensive attack or creating those opportunities, or on the defensive end where he's just switched off.
And that's what he did right there, making that mistake, which Mike pointed out, giving XLevVinken a glimmer of hope. And it is XLevVinken in this black FUT kit, trying to get an equaliser here, hits it. Oh, it's a pass even into the box. He found the Brazilian R9 Ronaldo, whose shot was deflected, so he's got a corner here, which he whips in, headed away by Virgil van Dijk. Mbappe, risky pass, attempt back into his own box there, almost cost Chris there. XLevVinken back on the ball. Cristiano Ronaldo back to Ramos. Ramos inside to Marcelo for XLevVinken. Oh, it's a great interception from Sergio Ramos, and it had to be, because otherwise it was going to find one of XLevVinken's players. And Chris looking a little bit rattled, Mike, wouldn't you say?
Well, XLevVinken's came out of the second half. He's more aggressive. His players are higher up the pitch. He's trying to change the pace of the game. And he's basically trying to use the fact that he scored towards the very end of the first half as a way of pushing on and getting more opportunities, as Chris has space here with Mbappe.
Let's get that cross in. Oh, so deadly, Chris, when he puts those crosses. He's going to have another chance to do it with Mbappe. No hesitation at all. As soon as he gets the chance, he's whipping it in on Mbappe's right foot.
And you can see Chris's plan when he's going forward, especially with whipping in these crosses.
Oh, chance here, though, for Lev. Can he level it up? Mbappe making his way into the box, taking his time. Oh, he gets past Van Dijk beautifully. But Rafael Varane was there when he needed him.
Powerful toe.
It's a big, big toe.
Big toe.
Headed away there by Sergio Ramos. Chris just hanging on, but it is a case of him hanging on, just like we saw at the end of that first leg. He seems to just lose. Whatever it is he starts with, he loses it. And he can't finish games that strong based on what we're seeing right now. But as long as he gets the win, that's all that matters for him. Trying to go 3-0 and book himself a spot in the last 16. But so is Lev. Ronaldo finds Mbappe, who turns back onto that right foot. He's got an overlapping run from Gullit, but he goes back to Marcelo. You are not mistaken. Marcelo is in centre mid. Ruud Gullit is in left back for XLevVinken. Vieira, can he do it again? Falls to Gullit, finds Ronaldo. Great first time passes from Lev. Not panicking, good composure. The defender's got to ground, and it's a massive goal for XLevVinken, who levels it up 4-5. 4. What a fixture we're looking at here, Mike.
And you got to say you saw that coming, or at least you could feel that it was coming. The energy had shifted, the vibe had shifted. Chris didn't look nearly as attacking, nearly as decisive, and at the same time, LeVinken looks more aggressive. He's pressing up the pitch. He's got bodies on bodies on bodies. You're seeing overlapping runs.
I'm very much interested in Chris's body language right now. You know, he gave off the impression before the game that he wasn't going to let things bother him too much. He was going to try and approach it with a more tranquil energy, if you like, but it's going to be hurting him, the fact that he's given up these goals and let Lev back into this game. And you know what, the way things are going, you have to back Lev for the win, because Chris looks rattled. Ronaldo running forward down the left side. Hullet on the overlap, he finds him. Hullet goes back to Ronaldo. This is good football from the Dutchman. Ronaldo still got it at his feet. 2 defenders around him. How's he found space there? And it's in again. And look at Lev fist bump in celebration. 5-4 up. Chris hand to face. It's that same old story. NYC. Chris, what's happening, mate?
I mean, you called it. You called it. Lev was pushing on for more. He knew this was his opportunity to go ahead and take the game. And sometimes FIFA's about those key moments and then seizing those key moments. And that's what we're seeing with Lev. I wouldn't say Lev's been the best player in this game. If you wanted to look at the 68-minute mark, but he's been better than Chris for about 20 minutes maybe. About 20 minutes, maybe even a little bit less. But in those 20 minutes, he did more with the game than what Chris was able to generate in this same match.
Definitely, and the thing is now, for the first time in this fixture, we're seeing Lev in the lead. And we're asking Lev, what have you got? You know, can you hold that lead? Because unfortunately, Chris hasn't been able to do it. And it does change the way you approach it. It's unbelievable how much mentality can change performance. And you see it so much in football and, of course, FIFA alike. The same players with the same skills, completely different performances based on the scoreline.
And with this pause, whenever it is going to be cued, I'm expecting Lev to go more defensive, try to add some additional width, and then at the same time, you're going to see Chris start to push a lot farther forward, take more risk, double teams. I don't think you'll go into constant pressure right away, but we might see a pressure on possession loss or even pressure on a heavy touch while moving up that depth.
Remember, this is a game that books you a spot in the last 16 if you can win it. Right now, that person is xLevVinken, the Dutchman, who finds himself 5-4 up in a game that's gone back and forth. But ultimately, it is Lev who is in the lead now with 15 minutes of FIFA time to go. We need to see what NYC Chris is really made of here. Can he silence the doubters?
And this is a preview potentially of a future matchup. We're looking at 6th place in the world versus 8th place in the world. These guys could meet, not just again in this tournament, but in future events, whether you're looking at the Champions League or you're looking at the playoffs.
Chance here for Chris. If he can get a shot off, he's greened it, but there was a defence lined up, ready to stop him, and they did just that, denying Chris the chance to shoot. And he's had so many shooting opportunities throughout the game, but when it really matters, like you talked about, Lev maybe not dominating from start to finish, but when it really matters, crunch time, is when he's come up trumps, and Chris, unfortunately, has been left watching the ball go in the back of his net.
And this may sound like a minor detail, but I don't like that Chris cued an early pause. I would prefer if he waited for the ball to go out, because when you cue an early pause, it tells, LevVinken, he wants to make changes. Maybe he shook a little bit.
Exactly.
Maybe he's not comfortable in this game. And it kind of motivates you on the other end. LevVinken saying, all right, I'm going to start slowing down the game. I'm going to start swinging it side to side. I'm just going to start killing the clock a little bit. I want you to feel this pressure.
Yeah, you can get in their head. You can frustrate them because you know they're fragile. You know that they're on edge. And it's so many mental games to be played in competitive FIFA. I mean, you've been around the scene for a long time, Mike. I've seen you play in tournaments when you're literally playing on the same unit, standing next to each other, like a couple of inches between you, when you've got a real opportunity to kind of ruffle some feathers. Of course, as the scene has developed and really got bigger and better, we're seeing a more sophisticated setup in terms of the units and where the guys are based. But there's still the opportunity with the in-game features, just like the pause, for players to really affect each player's mindset.
And we're seeing Chris go into a 4-1-2-1-2, which he still might switch in-game, and then he's got constant pressure. I thought that he'd wait on the constant pressure. However, that pause didn't finally get cued till the 83rd minute, so he's got to go for it at this point.
Eusebio is on. Messi is on. Pele is on for Lev. 5-4 to xLevVinken right now. 3-1 up in the second leg. Ramos offside. Not what you want to see from your right back. Obviously, he's sent him up. He's allowing those fullbacks to join the attack, because he needs something to happen, does Chris, in the light blue, or sky blue, I should say, of NYCFC. xLevVinken in the black FUT kit. Ramos into Mbappe. Mbappe finds Messi. for Lev. Every second he holds the ball is a second closer to the knockout rounds. Ruud Gullit, what a man that is to have the ball out wide. Lovely back heel into Marcelo, linking up in those swapped positions they're playing in. And Marcelo will happily get it back to Gullit. Gullit in no rush to do anything with this ball, running back towards his own goal. Plays it to Maldini, and Chris will not be enjoying this 1 minute. De Gea with loads of time, loads of space, picks out a pass. Chris now maybe with a chance to get possession. He's been given to him. Ruud Gullit, can he do it? Eusebio off the bench with energy. Crosses it in towards the back post. And it's a green header, but it is denied by some strong defending from the Dutchman, xLevVinken, who gets the win and secures himself a place in the last 16. And we said it at the top of the game, Mike. Chris, the nearly man, he's not doing much to lose that reputation, is he?
He figures out a way to lose games. Sometimes just figures out a way to lose games. I still believe that Chris will have no issues getting through the Swiss stage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at this PlayStation roster, just the personnel in attendance, you don't want to get matched up against any of these guys, and you can easily start a downward slope if you don't take your chances, if you get a little bit negative on yourself because of the quality of oppositions. There is no such thing as an easy game, and you can see Lev is relieved, 2 thumbs up, happy days, big smile, he's got the earring in.